Today I'm making my way through Oxfordshire to the border of Warwickshire to this place I've only recently discovered. It is shrouded in history, dripping in history. There are stories of witchcraft, there's folklores, and only 9 years ago, human remains were found at this very unique place. I'm here on the northeast of the Cotswold hills, next to an ordinary stretch of road. And it may not look like it, but this could be one of the most mystic places that you've ever heard of in Great Britain. Or not. And it all starts here. It's not commercialised. There's nothing here, just an honesty box. Costs £2 to get in, and then you're going to walk into this magic. And I'm here on the border of Oxfordshire and Warwickshire, where you will find some ancient monuments. Some of them are even older than Stonehenge. Welcome to the Rollright Stones. This is a beautiful magical stone circle. There are 3 areas to Stonewright. You have the stone circle, which is called the King's Men. 400 metres away across the field you have the Whispering Knights, and just across the road, just here, you have a stone called the King's Stone, and they all are part of one magical, mystical story that supposedly happened thousands of years ago here. People have been coming here for thousands and thousands of years, and no one actually knows why. Is it to do with witchcraft? Is it spiritual? Or is it to do with Leylines? There's so much mystery wrapped in this beautiful part of the countryside in England. So this bit I'm a little bit nervous of, if I'm honest. I haven't actually entered the circle yet. It's meant to have energy inside of the circle. It's meant to give people a feeling of very powerful emotions, and I am a spiritualist person. I believe that there's more to just heaven and earth, and I'm about to step in and I'm going to see if I can feel anything. I actually feel quite cold with goosebumps just as we walk in, but here we go. I don't know if it's just my brain telling me to do it because I'm talking about it. The goosebumps and the hairs on my arm are all stood up. My legs have actually started tingling. This is a magical, magical place. I think what's drawn me here is because of an old ancient story about a witch that came here, which is how all of the stones here, the Whispering Knights and the King's Stone, all got their name. These are hefty, big rocks, and it is believed that once upon a time they were so big that they all actually touched one another, but over time the weather has taken its toll on them, and supposedly old farmers who passed by, or knights, or whoever was here, was chipping away at these rocks also to make them even smaller and smaller over time. And it's also believed that if you took one piece of rock or any part of this stone circle, you would actually get bad luck, as in your cart back in the old days, that the wheel would fall off or the horse would become sick. Nowadays, I guess, if you took a piece, your car would probably break down. I am superstitious, so I'm not going to. I will not be taking anything from any of these sites here today. Before we get into the folklore of the Rollright Stones, I want to talk about these little patches here. This is called lichen, and lichen is incredible. It's found all over the world. It's even in Antarctica, and it grows really, really slowly. On average, here in England or Britain, it only grows at about 1 millimetre a year. But in colder places like where I was in Antarctica, you can find lichen. However, because it's so cold there and so dark there for half of the year, it can't even grow that fast because there's no light and it's so cold. So if we just even take a look, like just this piece here, just this one piece here, even though it is stretched across here, but just this area here, from here to here, that's 3 centimetres. So that tiny little piece there alone took 30 years at least. They say it's impossible to count the stones here at the King's Men. On the internet, if you Google it, it just says 70 odd. The signs over here say there's 77. And it is believed in folklore that a baker once went around and he said, I can count them all. And what he did was he placed a piece of bread on each of the tops of the stones. But as he was moving around and he got back to the beginning, some of the loaves were missing, and it said that they were taken by the devil or by evil fairies. I have tried to count them. I got 73. So how this time did I get 76? 73 the first time I did it earlier. This time, 76. This is so confusing. So, where did the extra 3 come from? And why is the 1 still missing? But it is said that if you can count the same amount 3 times, that your heart will get all it desires. Right now, my heart just desires to count 77 rocks. I'm going to try it one more time. How? How? How is it even possible? That time I got 74. So now I'm missing 3. This is magical. I could do this all day. I think I need Carol Vorderman here. She can count. The King's Stones were actually supposedly placed here between 3000 and 2200 BC. So pretty soon, this stone circle is going to be nearly 6,000 years old. Just imagine everything that went on here with the settlements that were originally around here. Who knows what went on inside the circle of this, but to think for 6,000 years almost, people have been coming here. They probably even came here once to see Cher live. So just across the road, this is the King's Stone. Science has taught us that this stone was placed here 1500 BC. So if the story of the witch and the king is true, the science is wrong. But if the science is right, then the witch and the king never had a fallout. Lastly, I think we need to go and take a look at the Whispering Knights, which is across the field about 400 metres. And there we'll have a look at the story of the witch and the king and how these stones, because of folklore, came about. Not only is the whole place around here shrouded with folklore of witchcraft, down in the village here, Long Compton, in 1875, an 80-year-old lady, she was walking home from the bakery. She had a loaf of bread and she was stabbed to death with a pitchfork by one of the local labourers because he believed she was a witch. And he also believed in that village there were 15 other witches who lived in that village, and he wanted to get rid of them all. So James Haywood, the man who killed Anne all those years ago, the police came to arrest him, and when he'd said about the other 15 witches, he also said, "I'm glad she's dead. She was an old witch and I want to kill the rest." He was actually found not guilty on the grounds of insanity, but he still ended up in jail. It actually wasn't a jail that he was sent to. He was actually sent to a mental asylum where he spent the rest of his days. Just over this fence here, just down there, there was a chap in 2015. His name is Charles Wood, and he was out with his metal detector just seeing what he could find, and his metal detector started beeping, so he started digging down, and what he found, I think, changed history so much in this area. So he found a patera, P-A-T-E-R-A, and these are from the Roman times, I believe, and it's kind of like a ladle or a large spoon. And so he rang the local archaeological team. They said, "Send us some pictures." They sent him over he sent those pictures over to them. They were straight on the phone to him and said, "Do not touch it. We are on our way." And when they got here, they were taking a look thinking, "Wow, brilliant. This is incredible." And then they looked a little over and they noticed that the grass was a different colour to the rest of the field. So they went and had a look. And down they dug, not very deep, and they found human remains. They found a whole skeleton, which turned out to be a woman, intact next to this ancient Roman artifact, shall we say. And it's believed that because she was buried so close to all these stones, that was the witch what she did to the king and his men. That's what I like to believe. Science says she's less than 2,000 years old, but I still think I like the story of it being the witch who did that to the kings. I like that. Anne's murder wasn't the only murder here in this area. Just as recent as 1945, people still believed in witches here. And a local hedge cutter, it said that his soul was darkened because he saw a black dog for 9 days in a row. And on the 10th day, he saw a headless woman, a figure of a headless woman. So this branded him as a witch because after he'd seen this headless figure, his sister died. So people in the village started saying, "He's a witch, he's a witch." And just by the actual stone circle of the king's men, he also was stabbed with a pitchfork through his neck, going down into his chest. When they discovered his body, there was a look of horror on his face, which rightly so. But then when they looked at his chest, someone had carved a crucifix onto it also. And the pitchfork was just laid next to him, stuck into the ground, 6 inches deep. I wonder if people here today still believe in the witchcraft in this area. I would love to find someone and chat with them and meet them, but people would probably think I'm a witch. As we walk down to the Whispering Nights, or as they're also known as in the King's Nights, these date back to 3800 BC. Again, to think how old they are and what their beliefs were, what they actually are. And it's said that it's a communal tomb for the knights who were actually conspiring against the king at the time. So the story of the witch and the king and the knights. There have been many versions of it, but I think my favourite was written by William Camden in 1610, and he wrote a rhyming poem about this witch. And once upon a time, some king and his knights were trit-trot on their horses around the countryside, and they came and met a witch, and she was standing before them, and she said to him about being the King of England. Now, he said, well, I want to be the King of England. And she said, okay, well, I'll give you a challenge. Go and look over the brow of that hill, and if you can see the village, you shall be the King of England. So he's like, yeah, all right, okay. So he's like, lads, just pull up the horses, park them up over there. So all of the knights, they got off, and he walked towards the brow of the hill, but he was only allowed to take 7 steps. And as he was walking towards the brow of the hill, the witch, using her magic, brought up all of the earth in front of him, so he could not see it. And because he could not meet the challenge of seeing the village below, the witch said, I'm going to turn you into stone. So the king's stone back there is where the king is now frozen in time as a stone. The stone circle that we went to, 400 metres that way, that's actually his men, who all were stood in a circle discussing how they can get away from the king. They didn't want nothing to do with it. So she froze all of them in time forever as stones in this circle. And then the knights behind us here, they were conspiring against the king also, and she turned them into stone. And here is where they lay, motionless, forever, trapped in the witch's spell. The legend doesn't actually stop there, because once she turned the Whispering Knights, the king's men, and the king into stone, here forever, she said that she was going to become an elder tree, and it's believed she's planted herself as an elder tree right next to the king's men in the circle. And at midnight, at night, when the wind is in the right direction and the church bells can be heard striking midnight, the king supposedly comes back to life and walks around, and he taps each of the rocks in the stone circle and down here with the knights, and then they come to life also, and then they make their way down to a local stream, and that's where they drink, and then they make their way back up again, never to be seen again, until the church bells can be heard right up here from the village down below. So this actually was a tomb, and it was a tomb over many, many, many centuries. So there would have been lots of bodies placed in this tomb somewhere around. This was meant to be the entrance. And they recently found a piece of human bone inside, and it's meant to be 1700 BC when they carbon dated it. So just think that one's like 4,000 years old. Just one piece. But these have been here since 3,800 BC. So what else were they used for? The plot just thickens and thickens and thickens about what this ancient, beautiful ground is. Like these rocks, the stone circle, the king's stone just up there. What is going on here? But there is one other thing which ties this place to the Isle of Wight, which is miles away down there. And I started looking up about this place and I thought, let's see. Like I said earlier, I'm a spiritual person and I believe in many things. I do believe in fairies. I do believe in angels. I certainly know about witches. But there's one thing which has really pricked up my ears. So 3 days ago, I went on an international website which delivers to your house if you're a certain member within 24 hours. And I've purchased something to have a look what the connection between here and the Isle of Wight actually could be. In the 18th and 19th century, these stones are actually associated with fertility. So young girls from the village would run around here naked at midnight on Midsummer's Eve, and it was supposed to help them with bearing children. These actually don't look like much, but these are all offerings which people have brought for whatever their belief may be. And going along with the women who would run around here naked, married women from the same 18th and 19th century, they would come here, be naked, over at the King's Stone. And they would actually go up to the King's Stone, and as an offering, they didn't leave things like this. They rubbed their naked breasts all over the King's Stone in the hope that it would give her and her husband a child. Very hot here now in the evening as I stand around the stone circle, or should I say the King's Men. And these are what I bought off Amazon, okay? These are dowsing rods, and they're believed to help find water, find energy lines that flow around the world. For example, Stonehenge and the pyramids, they're all meant to be on these lines which are all flowing around the world with different types of energy, and it's natural energy from the earth. And people like myself, a Wiccan, when there is a full moon, what we do, we take out our crystals and we wash them in salt to cleanse them. We place them back outside under a full moon for one night, and that full moon charges them. And where I'm from, recently it was a full moon, so I took these out of their wrapper in case someone else had handled them, and I rubbed them with salt, I rubbed them with water, and then I left them outside with a crystal or overnight just to cleanse them, you know, to make them new, shall we say, so they weren't tainted in any way. And I came here this evening to look around, but I also wanted to try this. I wanted to try these dowsing rods as This very stone circle is meant to have a direct line of energy which starts on the Isle of Wight. It goes through the White Horse, I can't remember the name, I'll write that on the screen, and it also goes through Chichester Cathedral, and it arrives here in one straight line of pure natural energy. And this is where it crosses through, and these are meant to pick it up. I have my GoPro here. That's going to be filming. This is going to be filming. I'm on the outside of the circle and I'm going to walk inwards. As you use these, the rods will turn different directions and they will cross when they feel energies or when there is something present. So you hold them like this, you let them stop. Already they're turning. I'm not even doing anything. Oh, I hope you can see them. Let's move back. We'll start again and get them doing whatever they're going to do. So I've put my microphone back on now and I'm inside of the stone circle. I have my rods. They're turning. They're doing stuff when they should just be resting. I hope this far you can see the camera. As you can see, they're just swinging everywhere. I'm not trying to move them. I am honestly just keeping my hands still, watching these go round and round. So there is some sort of energy here. There just has to be. I'm not trying to do anything, and I'm stood literally on the outside of the circle. Excuse me, I'm just on the inside of the circle. So, oh wow, this one's very happy. Oh, it's going back. Again, I'm not trying to move them, I'm not doing anything. What I think is interesting is that the one which is in my left hand is just pointing still, which would be clockwise if I was walking around. But this rod here is spinning anti-clockwise, all on its own. Again, I'm not doing anything. I'm just keeping my hands still. My goodness. And I'm stepping out of the circle. My word, wow. I'm more intrigued now than I think I was before when I set off this morning. Alright, so I apologise again for the audio from my microphone, and I'm sorry that I'm getting very sweaty. It is very, very hot this evening. And I've walked quite a distance, so I'm here again now. I'm back outside of the circle. My GoPro is just to the right of my camera. I have my rods. Where the camera is that's filming now is just inside on one of the rocks. So I'm going to make my way forward. Look, I'm not moving my hands. Again, look, I am not doing anything. My hands are still and I'm just entering the circle. This one's doing it again. This was the one that was spinning anti-clockwise before when I was inside the circle. And then it started spinning clockwise. No, it was spinning anti-clockwise inside, and now it's going anti-clockwise outside. And again, this one is perfectly still. I don't know what this is. I want to believe, and deep in my heart, I think I actually do believe. Being a Wiccan, I do believe in the earth and the crystals and earth, fire, wind and water. I do. This I've never done before as an adult. When I was like 7 or 8, I think I did it at school. But not in a place like this, which has so much witchcraft behind it and so many stories and so many different folklores, and people come here to make offerings, and it's been here for thousands upon thousands of years. And one of these trees around here is meant to be the witch that turned all these people to stone. This place has been incredible. I suggest that you really should come here if you live here, or if you're on holiday, come to the Cotswolds, come to the Rollright Stones, buy a pair of these off the internet. You can buy cheap ones for £6-7, or these, which I think I'm not, because I'm literally on the edge of the circle. They're doing it. So I would definitely say come here, visit, experiment, read folklores, read things, and come and see the magic for yourself here at the Rollright Stones. I'm going home to cool down. Love you, bye. There are many, and up to only 9 years ago, today I'm making my way through Oxfordshire, mystical place with stories of witchcraft, and fuck, I have no fucking idea. People have been coming here for thousands and thousands of years, but no one actually knows why. A fucking tree. A professor of fairies, oh fuck me, where the king once stood when he was chatting with the witch in I can't remember the fucking year. It was in the fucking past. Before we get into the science, oh fucking hell, that's wrong and all. Offerings, oh fuck me. Fucking traffic.